What's the best way to improve body control and movement in space for soccer? I'm currently a bodybuilder and want to start transferring my strength. Honestly, that's somewhat of a complex question, especially if you come from bodybuilding. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that, yeah, movement control is important. But then where are you starting from? Do you have any experience playing soccer or playing sports in general, or are you just starting out? Because that's going to be requiring a completely different set of strategies. Because if you have zero skill in all the movements or all the tasks involved in soccer, you need to acquire those tasks before by trying to play a game. So it could be dribbling, could be shooting, passing. So you actually would need specific drills for that. Now, the, the other issue might be conditioning related. Bodybuilders, if you have not trained your aerobic capacity and anaerobic, sorry, aerobic power and anaerobic capacity, so fairly intense effort for, let's say, 3 to 15 minutes, then you're going to have a hard time transferring physical capacity to a soccer game. Even if you do manage to transfer your capacity to the skills of moving on the field, the moment your conditioning goes out, so you are like, let's say you're breathing hard, the fact is that less oxygen makes it to the motor cortex and you lose technical efficiency. The best example is during CrossFit WODs, for example. I've worked with tons of CrossFit athletes, and for the most part, contrary to what most people believe, they are extremely good technicians on movements like the Olympic lifts, like deadlifts, like muscle ups and stuff. They are the highest quality ones are movement experts. They are very efficient. I mean, several of them that I've trained would have a technique in Olympic weightlifting that would be equal to national level competitors. The issue is when you see WOD and they look like basically a spasmodic dolphin trying to lift the bar when they do a power clean, it's oftentimes because of the lack of oxygen leading to a decrease in motor cortex efficiency. So even if they're trying to maintain good form in a high rep WOD, the fact that they are in that fatigue state automatically decrease technical efficiency. And that's something that's also going to happen when you're playing a sport. The moment you're gassing out, you're just cutting corners, your technical efficiency goes down, and you cannot transfer your physical capacity because they also go down. So what actually happens, again, less oxygen to the motor cortex, but also central fatigue. Now, central fatigue is the drive from the nervous system or the motor cortex to the muscles to activate those muscles and make them produce force or speed or whatever. This signal decreases, becomes weaker and weaker. That's central fatigue. Okay. So the weaker signal makes it a lot harder to recruit the fast twitch fibers, which lead to a decrease in performance in any activity requiring quick contraction. Could be like shooting a ball, could be sprinting, could be changing of direction. Anything that requires twitchy strength will be made a lot less efficient when you have central fatigue. And what does cause central fatigue? It's mostly signals from the various parts of your body involved in the action. Could be muscles, could be tendons, could be even the skin to some extent. So those signal, which is called afferent signal, makes it from the muscle, tendon, whatever, fascia, to the nervous system, giving information about how hard what you're doing is. So the more of these signals you get, the more you're telling your brain, dude, it's freaking uncomfortable, it's hard, that must be dangerous for my well-being. And in the interest of protecting yourself against self-harm, you decrease your capacity to do these actions, okay? So the main signals that will create central fatigue are discomfort, it's the feeling of effort, and it's pain. So it could be discomfort from if you're gassing out. That sends you the signal that you are uncomfortable, that it really is hard for your body, that will create central condition. In fact, there's nothing that creates more central fatigue than hard conditioning. So the first thing, it's one thing to manage to transfer your skill. Maintaining those skill in that state of physical distress is another thing. So you need to work on your conditioning. In fact, I would argue that working on your conditioning would be more important than working on movement control if you want to go from bodybuilding to soccer or any other sport like basketball, for example. I would argue 100%, especially in soccer, if you have conditioning, resilient conditioning, and you don't break down, and you are fairly fast, and you can hold your own on the pitch, okay? Because you're not always dribbling with the ball. And from that point on, it's only a matter of practicing the skills, because it's one thing to be able to move properly without a ball, but doing the same thing with a ball, it's completely different. So what you should be doing is first practice those skills that are required. So dribbling the ball, changing direction, passing, shooting, faking, stuff like that, and do that in a low stress environment. So you isolate that skill just to maximize that skills while also working in conditioning on the side. Now, as you are entering a more complex phase, now you can include more game specific drills. As far as your training is concerned, what I would recommend is switching a lot of your weight training to the, I want to say, power and the strength. I really like complexes to do this. For example, because if you've been training hard, I'm pretty sure you don't want to lose your muscle, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to lose your strength. And with strength will be useful in competing power. So what you could be doing are complexes. For example, complexes are in bodybuilding jargon like a superset, but with a rest period between the two stations. Now, for example, for lower body, you could combine a squat with a plyometric exercise. So it could be a jump, could be a vertical jump, a broad jump, a box jump, could be a loaded jump, could be any form of explosive jumping activity. And then you can even add a third layer, which could be an actual sports skill using the same muscles as you use. So for lower body, for example, you could do, let's say, a squat, then you rest for 2 minutes, then you do a set of loaded jump squats or just vertical jumps as high as you can, rest 2 minutes, and then you're gonna, let's say, shoot 10 balls. So you hit, so you're shooting as hard as you can, 3 to 5 times. So that would be your set, and you would do that like 3 sets of that. So let's say 3 to 5 reps on squats, then 2 minutes rest, then 3 to 5 jumps, maximum intensity, then 2 minutes rest, and then 3 to 5 shoots. For example, for upper body, you could use, let's say, a overhead press for strength, then a medicine ball throw overhead, or even using the soccer inbound touch. And then you can do the same thing with an actual soccer ball. So basically, you're combining a strength movement, a power exercise, then a sports skill. And you do like that for maybe 3 times. You can go on T Nation and look for my program called 6 Weeks to Superhero. It's built on complexes. While those are not sports specific, it can give you some ideas. And the way it's set up, it actually is also a conditioning program. Certainly, the weight training, you want to focus on using more whole body movement, just to learn to use your body as one tool, and gradually including more high speed movements while you are on the side practicing your skills and working on conditioning, which should not be neglected. Hopefully that is somewhat helpful.
If you enjoyed this information, hit that like button to let us know. Plus, if you never want to miss another T Nation video again, hit subscribe and that little notification bell right next to it.